Greetings! In this video, we're going to be talking about Python's advanced data structures. In addition to talking about what a data structure is, we're going to introduce tuples, sets, and dictionaries to you. We're going to show you what makes them special, and then when you might want to use them in your applications. First things first, what is a data structure? Now, a data structure, according to the definition, is an organization of data. It's the way that we represent data in code so that we can store and retrieve information. But practically speaking, you've already been using data structures. So for example, if you ever needed to store a value input by the user, you've used a data structure known as a variable. And when you need to store lots of valuables, you used a data structure called a list. Now, it's no coincidence that you learned those two data structures first. Most Python programs either need one or both of them. But there are times when you might need data structures that have slightly different capabilities. And in this lesson, we're going to talk about three of them in particular: tuples, sets, and dictionaries. We're going to show you their unique capabilities and when you might want to use them. Now, to be clear, it's not that every program needs them. It's that there are more tools for your toolbox, so you need to decide when it makes sense to use one or more of these data structures. So let's go ahead and get started. The first data structure I want to talk about today is the tuple. The tuple is a collection of data that is ordered and immutable. What that basically means is that it's a list that you can't change once you declare it. Now, many of you have already created tuples, you just didn't realize what you were doing. So let's say, for example, you wanted to make a list of all the weekdays. If you used parentheses instead of square brackets, you were creating a tuple. Now, tuples are cool because they behave very similarly to lists. So if I want to access an element in this tuple, I use the same bracket notation. So here, for example, if I wanted to take this and print out the first thing, I would say the name of my tuple, bracket 0, and when I press play, it goes ahead and prints it out. I can also iterate through each element of the tuple, so I can say for day and weekdays, print day, and then when I press play here, it behaves very much similar to a list. In fact, the only thing I can't do is append. So if I try to, for whatever reason, append Saturday to my tuple of weekdays, it would give me an error saying that append is not a function that works on tuples. So when do you need to use tuples? Needs a strong word. Typically, we can use lists anywhere we need to use a tuple, but usually we will use tuples in Python as a way to return multiple things from a function. So let's say, for example, that I wanted to create a function that calculates the midpoint. So I have two coordinates, and I'm trying to talk and do math at the same time and code. So this is going to be fun. If I wanted to calculate the midpoint, I would just take my x coordinates and add them together and divide by 2. Same thing for my y coordinates. And with all the skills that I normally have, I can only return one of them, right? I can either return the x midpoint or the y midpoint, but what I can do is put it all in one tuple. So now I'm still returning just one thing technically, but that one thing just happens to have two values inside of it. So now if I wanted to test this, I could say print calculate midpoint, and I'll just do 0, 0, and 5, 5. The midpoint should be 2.5, 2.5. So when I press play, there's my tuple, and both the values are in there. The next data structure I want to talk about is a set. Unlike lists and tuples, where ordering of the elements matters, a set is an unordered data structure. So the values are just in there. There's no way to say, get me the first thing in this set. It's just a pool of things. All right? The other cool thing about sets is that they only contain unique elements. So to make a set, the way that we do that is using the curly brackets. So if I wanted to create a set of words, I would just use curly brackets and put all my items in there. Alternatively, if I wanted to make a blank set, I have to use the set function. So I do it this way, and I'll go ahead and show you. So if I want to create a set of words, like I said, I can just do hello and world like this, right? And that will go ahead and make my set. Alternatively, I can do this, and that will make an empty set. All right? If I want to add stuff to a set, the way I do it is using the add function. So instead of appending, we're adding. So here I could say words.add hello and world. Right, so when I press play, and again the ordering, it looks like they're ordered, but it really doesn't matter. And there's no way to get like the first thing in this set. But what is cool is if I go ahead here and I copy world a bunch of times and I press play, it ignores all of them. And you'll notice the ordering changed again because there's no enforcement of order in here. Right? The other cool thing that I can do in a set is check to see if something's in it. So here, if I wanted to say is hello in the set, I could say if hello is in words, print hello is in the set. Else, print hello is not in the set. Right? So here if I was to press play, it would say hello is in the set, but if I was to take out hello from my set, now it says hello is not in the set. Right? So when do you use sets? Sets are really useful in situations when you want to get rid of duplicates. So let's say you're processing a file and there's a bunch of names in the file and you just want all the unique names. You would add all of them to a set, and then when you print out the set, it has all the unique names. So again, this is just another way that you can take advantage of a unique capability of a data structure in order to solve a problem. The last data structure I want to talk about today is the dictionary, and the dictionary can be thought of as just a giant lookup table of key value pairs. So it's very analogous to an English dictionary. The key represents the word you're looking up, and then the value represents the definition. And the important part about a dictionary is that every key has to be unique, but the values don't have to be. Alright? To create a dictionary, we use curly brackets. So here I'm creating a dictionary and just making it an empty dictionary. And then if I want to get values from a dictionary, I have to use the bracket notation. So here I type the name of the dictionary, and in the brackets I put the key, and that returns the value. So if I put word, definition appears because that's what's up here. If I want to add values to a dictionary or modify an existing entry, what I do is I use the same bracket notation. So here I am whatever the key for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is, I'm setting its value to 98765, right? So when do I want to use a dictionary? They're useful when you want to quickly look something up. So let's say, for example, I want to create a dictionary to keep track of all my video games. So I'm going to create a dictionary, and then here I'm going to call it video games, and it's just going to be an empty dictionary. Now I'm going to add key value pairs to the dictionary. So here, let's say one of the games I own is Call of Duty. This is a key in my dictionary, and the value will be that it's a first-person shooter. Right? Similarly, if I want to add like Final Fantasy, that happens to be a role-playing game. Right? And now if I want to access a specific value in the dictionary, I can say like print video games, and then I'll just do Call of Duty. Right? And then when I press play, that will actually return first-person shooter. Right? And again, the key value pairs are unique. So for example, here if I do Call of Duty again and I call it an FPS instead of a first-person shooter, I am actually replacing the current value in this dictionary with the new value. So when I press play, now you see it's FPS. So like I said, dictionaries are useful for quick lookups. If I wanted to, for example, look up how many times a word was used in a document, I could have the dictionary contain every word in the document, and then the value be how many times I've seen it thus far. I could also use it like a contact list. The keys could be all the people I know, and the values could be their contact information, like their phone number. So overall, this table summarizes all the data structures you know in Python to date. Like I said, you're primarily going to use variables and lists because those are they're applicable in many different types of problems. But it's always good to have lots of tools in our tool belt. So tuples are useful, especially if we have a function and we want to return multiple things from it. Sets are useful whenever we want to get rid of a bunch of duplicate values and just keep track of unique things in a collection. And dictionaries are useful whenever I just want to do quick lookups of something. Again, they all come with their pros and cons, and through experience you will understand when, when to use one versus the other. So that's this lesson. Like I said, we've been over a bunch of different data structures. We've talked about when they're useful, what their unique capabilities are, but ultimately all of this comes down to practice. So the more you practice, the more you'll understand when it makes sense to use a set versus a list versus a tuple, and hopefully you will just get better at it as you see more and more problems. So thanks for watching, take care, let us know if you need help, and keep coding. All right, thanks, bye!